Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you, and welcome to the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. And this morning, our topic is Google Core Vitals. And let's start as usual by introducing everybody. And I'm thinking that Fred, perhaps you have not met Anna before. So, well, now that I've Anna, you're there. So why don't you start by introducing yourself? I see you're the only one that's not muted.
Oh, okay. I haven't introduced myself in like 2 years. It feels like we've been in a war or something. Anyways, I'm Anna Fernandez. I grew up in Canada. What else did I say? I moved to Mexico 10 years ago. Just had my 10th anniversary here in beautiful Mazatlan. It does not look like this today. Nope, no. Pouring rain. So, yes, anyway, so I run my business. I used to be an accountant, but I run a web design and social media and techie kind of business now, which is much more enjoyable, let me tell you. So, anyways, hello, everyone.
And it sounds like your business has morphed in a similar way to the way mine has.
Exactly,
I
yes.
love it.
More fun. I love it too.
Right on. So I'm glad to see you. I hope you'll come back again too.
Yeah, I'll be up there in July in Canada visiting my daughter. She lives on Salt Spring, so hopefully I can get to visit with you too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Right.
Right on. So Vivek, I think you were the first one here. How would you like to introduce yourself?
Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. I aim to bring time-tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life, because that's my name. Vivekanand
Mm-hmm.
means wisdom and happiness. I bring these things together by unifying, simplifying, and amplifying simple technology and tools. Wake Technology is my company. Together, let us wake up our potential. So that's my elevator pitch. I have a couple of news items to share with everybody today. First is our government here suddenly decided that they needed a emergency notification system, and so I read a mail from local council saying that all the mobile phones in this particular area will start making a noise at this particular time. Don't be worried, don't be, but we are testing an emergency announcing system. And this is our trial, and so on and so forth. So yes, phones started making weird noises at that time, and then there was an announcement which followed. So it was a strange experience. Lucky that I had read the email just 5 minutes before this whole thing happened. The second item is I have been having quite a lot of response for what I started for my yoga friends. And LowellAnn is also now part of that. So I sent out a form for them to fill, and I have already had within 2 days, I have had 28 responses already. So they would be participating in a video show or meeting that I would be holding on Sunday.
So you got to say what it's about, Vivek.
It's about using the tool that I had developed long ago, which is used by LowellAnn every time he conducts the success circle, the chipmunk. I'm making the chipmunk available for all these people who are conducting their yoga sessions online. So they all will be, at least some of them would be going using my tool, I hope. So that's the good news. There was a third item.
I don't know.
Third item. Anyway, it will come back to me.
Yes, you'll think of it. So I might just add a couple of words to what Vivek said. We, having learned a little bit from our experience with the Of course, realizing that people need to see kind of an overview before they get any sort of instruction as to, the steps they need and where to find things and whatever. So that's what we decided to do is stage 2 Zoom meetings to give people an opportunity to get the overview. And then I think we made the decision that there will be a mini course on the website for courses where you can go and take the course on how to set up Chipmunk on your system. So so that's going to be really interesting. But I might say, from my perspective, I've never been a user of WhatsApp, and I do know that WhatsApp is used extensively in Europe and in India and various other places. And I really didn't know, I think I had it on my phone, but I really didn't know what to do with it or whatever. And so Vivek invited me to join this group on WhatsApp, and so, wow, look at this. And this allows you to get in touch with a much wider group of people. So I was kind of happy about that. Anyway, so that's enough said about that. So David, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Dave Flannery. I'm with Affordable Websites for Small Businesses in Rock Falls, Illinois. Right now, we are streaming on YouTube and on the website. Javita has said hello to everybody. She's in chat, and she says, "Hello, Anna. Glad to see you after so many days."
Oh,
to you, LowellAnn.
So, greetings, Javita. Feel free to drop in anytime you wish. Right on. So, oh, that's cool. All right. So let's say again.
The third thing I remembered, I participated in a group managed by Simon Sinek yesterday.
Oh.
And this was formulating your why for retirees.
Oh, right.
It was a very interesting experience, and I did. And interestingly, I got in touch with another Canadian. There's something going on between me and Canadians. I don't know what.
Well, before you know it, you'll be getting a passport and coming over here. Oh, cool. It is wonderful, isn't it, that we can connect with people from wherever. I think we all enjoy that. Right on. So, Alana, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Greetings, everyone. Alana here from Ireland. My company is ALB Digital Marketing Solutions. where I write content and copy to help businesses increase sales and conversions.
Right on. So may I give you some feedback, Alana?
Yeah.
Your chin is right down below the screen. Oh. That's better.
Okay. I always get caught out by that. Yeah.
So welcome here. Let me see. Fred, how would you like to introduce yourself next?
Certainly. Thank you very much, LowellAnn. I'm Fred Jones, creator of ourfutureleaders.ca, where we help young people gain communication and leadership skills so they can become the leaders that our world needs. And I would like to thank once again LowellAnn and Vivek in particular, because what they've prompted me to do was create a course on how to start a youth club. And that's also prompted me now to say, what else do I have? And I have a whole list of things that can help people just if they want to have 30 minutes with young people and make it interesting, like teachers and coaches, and say, hey, what am I going to do with my youth today? And I have 30-minute to 60-minute sessions, up to 2 hours sessions, up to things that I've done with libraries where they wanted Monday to Friday 1 to 2 hour sessions during summer camps, and all of that material I put together and said, I have all this material. And so now we're
not hearing you, Fred. I think no.
We lost your audio, Fred. Sorry.
So I really appreciate it.
Oh, there. It's back.
So you weren't hearing all the stuff I was thanking you for, I guess.
Well, welcome, Fred. And I was thinking about you yesterday and thinking, are you dog sitting yet? Because on the radio, all over the radio, was how to keep your animals healthy in this heat.
I start on Monday.
Oh.
My first dog sitting gig since end of February last year.
Yeah.
And I have got sessions now, 4 sessions of house pet sitting until the end of September. So it's working, starting to come back.
Yeah. Cool. Right on. So I'm glad you're here, Fred. And Matthew. Now, Matthew, I'm sure you may remember Anna Fernandez, because we just were trying to remember how did we meet, and we decided that it must have been at Host. So you may remember each other from Host. So, Matthew, go ahead.
Hi, Anna. Welcome to the Success Circle. This is a great place to be, so I'm glad to see you here. I am Matthew Powell, and I run a company called Coastline Marketing Incorporated. And we do digital asset management, dam services, as well as content creation, videography, writing, copy, etc. And it's delightful to be here. I've learned a lot and met some really fantastic people, and I've worked with some of you.
Yes, we do. We all do a little business together now and again, don't we? There's David.
You need to add good, damn good service.
Love it.
Right.
I like that. I'll put that in my pitch.
Well, and I find it interesting that Fred didn't mention it and Matthew didn't mention that we're in a heat wave here in Victoria. So we're all dying. So I do apologize if you can hear something in the background. That is my fan running. I really do need it.
We are all fans, LowellAnn. We are all
okay.
fans.
Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Everybody plugged their company, and I forgot even to mention the name of mine.
Well, go for it.
Because it relates to some of you that belong to this age group. It's called Zoomer Boom Digital Media.
Zoomer Boom.
Yeah.
Zoomer Boomer or Zoomer Boom?
Boomer boom. Yeah.
Wow,
Anyways,
right on. Well, you're in the right place because we're all of the same age range, and we're all doing similar things. So, right on. All right, so we're going to let's get down to business here. We're going to talk about Google Core Vitals. I don't remember anymore who it was that suggested this as a topic. It was a while ago.
I think it was Jay, wasn't it?
It might have been. I don't know. Anyway, so I went online to do some research. I found numerous places that had various checklists that they were offering. Only if I gave them my email, and I thought, no, I don't want to fill my inbox with that stuff anymore. I'm not going there. But I did find, I'm trying to think what site it was that I found all this. Do you remember, Vivek? Because we were looking at it.
SEMrush.
Yes, thank you. So I thought I would just generate some conversation about what all these mean, and what do those of us who have websites, what do we need to pay attention to? How are we going to do this? And one thing I want to clarify is Google did announce way back in November, apparently, that they were changing the algorithm, and that the changes would be made in May. But it seems as though it's just within the last little while that we're beginning to hear people talk about this. So this new algorithm, I've noticed in some of my travels online that some people are noticing that they're getting a little bit more traffic, and then there are others who are sort of saying they're noticing a huge drop in traffic. Google traffic to their websites. So everybody's now trying to figure out what on earth should we do about this. So here we are, joining the group, having that conversation. So we have, I do have I put together just 2 slides with the items so that we can stay focused on it. And Vivek was going to share that, hopefully. Oh, that's perfect, Vivek. It's showing everything that we want. So if you hit the next button there. So everything that I read said on-page experience is still the most important. And so that means that we really need to pay attention to the SEO, all the SEO things on a page. And so what does that mean? What does doing SEO on the page mean? I know that a lot of us have seen Jay talk about how to set up all-in-one SEO or Yoast. I believe there's there's a third one that I don't know if I don't think I know the name of it. But the important thing is that you have a tool that allows you to put in a meta title and a meta description and the keywords that you're hoping that you're wanting to connect to. So whatever tool you use, those are important things to be paying attention to. So the third thing, Vivek, is good content. It's still seen as being the most important thing. So for example, I watched somebody adjusting a blog yesterday where he was talking about, okay, so if you used a question as your keyword on that page, be sure to answer that question directly. Don't just post a whole lot of things that if you read the whole thing you would gather the answer. What Google is looking for is specifics. So if you pose a question or your keyword, and what was it, David, you said earlier, it's important to answer the question or say the most important things in the first two paragraphs. So
you have to unequivocally answer the question that you've put your search term on, and that should be in the first two paragraphs. That helps you rank. It also helps you get into the snippet, which is the top definition of the answers to the question, and they show you an answer. Mm-hmm. If you give the best answer, generally you get the snippet.
Mm-hmm. And so, I suppose going back to page SEO, I mean, what we're talking about is part of that SEO as well, and the way your page is laid out, lots of headers and lots of space and lots of information. I mean, everything I read said that there has to be really, really good content in relation to the keywords that you've chosen. So good content. Okay, the next one was loading. Helps as long as the content is great, was what I read. So it doesn't help to just put a whole bunch of garbage in there and think that if it loads fast, it's going to do you much good. So it still has to be great content. So, but the loading piece, there are a number of things to think about, and I think I don't remember. I think we talked about this before, about how fast your images can load, and how important it is to use a plugin that makes your compresses your images. And maybe change the size of your images, not asking the website or the web provider to adjust the size, but to use images that are the correct size. So all these things that we're asking that WordPress to do, if we do it ahead of time, it has a tendency of making things load faster. So can somebody talk about lazy loading? That was another item that seemed to be mentioned when we talk about loading. Anybody know anything about lazy loading? David? And then Anna.
Let Anna go first. I've already talked.
Okay, go ahead, Anna.
Okay, hang on a second.
Oh, I think Anna's frozen.
Yes, have that option for you to have the images only load as they're coming up on the screen, so they're not preloading,
Right.
which takes up a lot of time. And if that person doesn't scroll down, it's wasting time to go on there. So it just loads as the person is scrolling. It'll start loading the images. So it increases your load time for Google and stuff.
So it increases the load time rather than
Sorry, it decreases the it decreases the speed at which your site loads by doing the lazy load, by delaying the loading.
Okay, so it increases your load speed.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah. So David.
What it also helps with is your first paint, which is what you first see, in that it can concentrate on loading that as quick as possible, and then as you scroll down, you load at the other one. So there's two things. It also increases your speed of loading, but the first paint is also increased.
Now, can you define what you mean by first paint?
When you bring up your web page, it's above the fold.
Right.
It's whatever is on your screen. It loads it very quickly, and they call it the first paint of what loads. And if you're loading pictures that are down below and not loading what's up in front, then your first paint is way long, and Google discounts for that.
So how do you think that applies to the use of featured images?
Featured images are usually fairly large, and the reason that we're going to the smaller image is it loads quicker. So on the first paint, it only is loading a small image instead of loading a large image that's takes a little bit more time. Now it's milliseconds. It's not, it's not like you're increasing your speed by half a second or 1 second, unless you've got a really huge picture for your featured image. But it's one of those little it's one more thing that helps you get that first paint faster. And if you that's why they don't recommend sliders, and now they're getting away from the big hero image, so that you're only loading up text as opposed to loading up a slider. Which
now, what do you mean by a hero image?
Hero image is usually the background image.
Giant backgrounds.
Yeah, and it covers mainly the full screen.
Okay.
And so that usually those are quite large, or in size, and they take a little bit longer to load than what a small little image would take.
I suggest anyone with a website, they use a plugin to optimize their any of their media, and in there a lot of the new plugins now have an option to do the new web. I think it's web. And what is that, Dave, called? The new type of photos that they load. So they
I know what you're doing. They're new formats, which
what I mean?
I don't know the acronyms for them. I'm sorry.
It's WEB something.
Yeah, I'd have to.
Yeah, like they used to make thumbnails and this thing and that thing. Now they make this fourth type of image compressed that makes it load even faster.
Oh, so it's not a PNG, it's not a JPEG, it's a something else?
No, it's PNG. You load PNG, JPEG, whatever one you want, but this plugin will optimize those photographs to compress whatever and load faster. Yeah, but
well, I've been using Smoosh, and that does a great job.
Yeah, that's good too. Yeah, I use Short Pixel, but I use that for all my client sites.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with LowellAnn.
I mean, that's one of the most important things, probably, because some sites are graphics heavy and photo heavy, so you really have that compressed stuff.
So here's a question that I have. So, yes, the featured image always used to be really large, but what's wrong with using a smaller feature, changing the size of the feature image, rather than putting it down into the into the body of the page, because the featured image is what shows up in your blog roll. Any comments?
Yes. What they're saying is you want the first thing to load is text.
Oh.
Google likes it to be text, and that's why you're bringing it down into the like the first line of the paragraph text
on the page.
Instead of the title and the if you're doing a blog, your name and your author and all that. And you got the subtitle, and then you got your image. And it's just the order in which you're loading things. The other thing, Javita asked a question. Let me get back to it again. She asked, Dave, if we compress the featured image, will it help? And in WA Kraken is default. Do we want to worry? The featured image, compressing it will help, yes, but it's still better. It's not optimal. It's not a bad thing. It's just not as optimal as putting the image, disabling the featured image to be on the post and putting that featured image down into the text as a smaller image. Okay.
So in that case, what do you do about the blog roll?
Well, what I do is the blog roll, I keep my featured image. That's what the featured image is for the blog roll.
Yeah.
So it shows up there.
So I'm talking about one post now, and you put a featured image there, how do you disable it on the page?
I use Generate Press, or I use Divy.
Yeah.
And there, Generate Press, there's when you click on the name of the post, down along the side there's disable the title. You can disable the featured image and all that there.
There's a piece I didn't know. I knew you could disable the title. I didn't know you could disable the first featured image. So you would put the featured image there, but then disable it within the
on the post, but then on the blog roll
it will show up on the blog roll. That
here again, use a smaller image, use and compress it, and that helps the blog roll load faster.
Right.
Can I just say one thing here?
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing at the moment now with Google is that you have a really quick mobile-friendly version.
Oh yeah, that's how I was going to get there.
Yeah, so and of course photos and all that stuff is a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that's optimized for that thing. So really, a lot of web designers are building mobile sites, and then secondary to that is the desktop site. I'm still doing it the other way around. I build a desktop and then I optimize it mobile. But yeah, that's what Google has anchored it now on, the fast mobile sites.
Yeah. But I read somewhere where a lot of people are not bothering with two different sites. That if they're using a theme that is really good at doing all the work for mobile, that's the preferred way to go.
Yeah,
I guess that depends on what your theme does.
I do it for both at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So some other things that in my notes about loading speed is at one stage somewhere it was suggested that some of this depends on the server that you're using. So there are some companies that where if you're using a shared server and they've got tons of other websites, that is going to slow you down. And so that might give you the signal that you should pay for a dedicated server.
I moved all my sites, my client sites, over to a totally different style of server almost a year year ago now because of that, because I saw it moving that way. And I don't do shared hosting at all. I have my own server. I have two servers, one for heavy sites and one for lighter sites. But yeah, and it's split. Doesn't host email. I host email separately from the. It's a totally different mindset, but it works so much faster for everything, for updating your sites, for doing all of that stuff, having your own server that way. And the cost is very, it's significant for what you're getting for the speed and everything.
Right. Now I wrote down an acronym, and for the life of me, I don't know what it means. CDN. Does anybody know what CDN means?
Content Delivery Network.
Content Delivery Network. Now what does that mean? Does anybody know?
Yes. I don't want to be the one talking.
Go for it.
I've had so much experience over the last few years, but yeah, the CDN content delivery is just a way to deliver all the assets of your website when somebody goes to your site. Instead of it running down to the server that might be, I'm in Mexico, if my server's in Toronto or something, instead of every time somebody opens your website, it runs over to Toronto, downloads all the assets, and then opens the website. They deliver it a closer proximity. Have a cached version of it, and they deliver it closer. It's just a way of holding your assets closer to where your people are actually looking at your site. Basically, I mean, I'm trying to do it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting. So yeah, that's another one that increases your speed too. I mean, decreases the speed, increases your Google rank.
David, you started to say something.
Yes, I'd like to step back a second. Could you tell us where you're getting your hosting? Anna?
Are you talking to me? Yeah, I do my server hosting through Cloudways. Not Cloudflare, Cloudways. I do my CDN through Bunny CDN, or you can use Cloudflare for CDN. And then most of my emails are private hosted emails through Namecheap. I have a really good private email server. But there's others really good ones out there, but that's what I use at the moment for my clients.
Right on. Useful information. Thank you, Anna. Matthew.
I just wanted to ask, what is CDN? Anna, what's CDN?
Content Delivery Network.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so just delivering your stuff closer to the person that's.
I haven't explored that avenue yet. I didn't remember what the acronym was, and then when you started explaining, oh yeah, I know what's going on. You can have one central location, or you can have 4 or 5 locations and have your site cached there, and it makes it a lot quicker.
So all of that, for those of us that belong to WA, sorry, that certainly is. I think they use Amazon, don't they, David?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, WA members, I don't think we get a dedicated server as such. No, not yet.
No, we don't.
That dedicated server would be a next step once we get traffic to our sites, and it's the customers are complaining it's slow or whatever, or we observe that it is slow. That is the time when we say, okay, we'll shift from WA hosting on WA to somewhere else.
Yeah. So the next item was interactivity, and I was trying to determine what does that mean, and we decided that means that your viewer has a way to leave comments or has a way to interact with you. And so if somebody leaves a comment, it also looks to see whether you responded and what goes on there. So
I think your response is more important, because I have seen websites where people have left comments and or even questions, and they have not been answered. If that happens, then you will have the penalty. Google will penalize your site.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is really important. And one of the things that I discovered was there is a plugin that allows that if you do get comments, it allows you to just put your comments in there, and the comments that you respond will be sent to the person who left the comment automatically, rather than having to go through a gazillion email steps and all of that. So I found that saved a lot of time. Then visual stability. So I think, we decided that means things are moving around as it loads, and that I think we sort of covered it a little bit in terms of lazy loading and all of that stuff. So, if things are bouncing around on a website, you don't want that to be happening. So, can anybody else add anything about visual stability? No?
I feel that that visual stability is also affected by lazy loading. The lazy loading just puts a blank box, small box, empty box initially, and then loads the image. If the person has already scrolled beyond that empty box and then the image starts loading, the content will move as the image loads. So that gives the reader, a viewer, it's like you're reading through like that, and suddenly you lost where you were, because the page has moved and you didn't do anything. The page moved. So that will be very annoying to any reader. So make sure that it doesn't happen. That's what it means.
Okay, I think that's the last one on that slide, Vivek.
I would
David?
like to add a little bit to that. It also means, like, sometimes you'll see a website where it will start to load a picture and it'll be small, and all of a sudden it jumps to full size. That kind of stuff is also what they're talking about, and that's independent of lazy loading. That's how your HTML is set up, and you have to go through and kind of fix that differently than through lazy loading.
Okay. So do you want to go to the next screen, Vivek? Yeah. So there is where we were going to talk about mobile friendly, and certainly, as said before, it depends on the theme that you're using. A lot of the themes that we use now really do a good job at allowing you to make adjustments so that your material comes through by mobile in a very nice way. David?
Yeah, and then Generate Press has added a tick column to your containers or your sections, allowing you to hide it on mobile or hide it on desktop, so that you can have a section that loads for desktop a certain way and a section that loads for mobile a certain way, so that you can eliminate pictures or video or something like that that you didn't want on mobile, because it slows the site down, plus it's really not something anybody's ever going to use.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, of course you'll hear us. Anna, I don't know if you're aware of Generate Press, but we've all discovered Generate Press because it's wonderful.
I've heard of it. I've not. I might have tinkered in it once, but my go-to tool, just because I've been using it for a few years now, is Elementor for a page builder, and if I use a real vanilla theme. I rarely use a theme. I use some basic thing, and I just build my site through Elementor Theme Builder, basically, so I can do it however I want. So
yeah.
But once in a while I use a theme.
Well, we've all experimented a bit with Elementor as well, and we've discovered that Elementor is very heavy and it slows your system down.
They're getting better, though. They're getting better.
And so that was why we moved over to Generate Press, because you could do almost all the same things without having to use Elementor. So it's worth a look, and go have a look at Generate Press.
Well, I have, but Elementor's getting better and better all the time.
Yeah.
The other one that I believe has been quite popular is Cadence.
Oh, Cadence.
Yeah, that's very light. Does the block thing just like Gutenberg does.
Mm-hmm.
And it has blocks and everything, and it's getting quite popular for many reasons. So Cadence is another one that's going that way as well. But I'm sticking with Elementor, and they're getting better and lighter each time they make an improvement. I almost lost faith in them a few months ago, but well, I'm going to hang in a little longer.
Right. But I think we've all used Elementor, or at least David and I think some of the rest of us have as well, or Divy, one or the other. I think I remember, Alana, you were using Divy for a while there, weren't you? Right.
Yes, and it took me ages to get rid of it, and I finally got rid of it recently. And if I could share my screen, I just wanted to show you guys something.
Yeah.
Vivek, let me just share my screen here. So I'm doing, where is it? Here it is. So I'm using Page Insights with Google. Oops, I guess that's not the right one. Let me go on. Hang on, let me try it again. Where is it? Yeah, this is the one, screen 2. So I'm using Page Insights because I've been keeping an eye on my page load. And can you guys see 94 in the middle of your screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's my Page Insights score. Now, my Page Insights score used to be between 50 and 89, so it wasn't that great. But since I got rid of Divy, it's now at 94 for desktop, and for mobile, it is 92. So I'm doing okay there, but Dave or Anna, I don't know if either one of you can address this, but I'm not clear on what this contentful paint means in largest contentful paint. I don't understand the language here, but I just thought I would call your attention to that. So if
It's
you're
the first page, I think Dave explained it, the first thing that loads. Does
Yeah.
it load,
Okay.
how fast it loads? First
Yeah.
page, that first view, I believe that's what it is. Because I remember looking into it not long ago, because they have these different terms and sometimes they mean the same thing, you know.
yeah.
But
Well,
it looks like yours is doing really well for that.
Well, it's at 72%. It's at 4.9 seconds, so that's not great to me.
Oh, that's not great. No, I thought I saw something
But
that said.
But the score is 92 for mobile and 94 for desktop. So I guess, you know, my site in general loads pretty well and pretty fast, but it looks like I still have like 5.9 seconds loading here and 7.4 seconds loading here. So
You might want to use GTmetrix too. Have you used that tool?
no, I have not. Can you post a
try that
link
one.
for that in chat? What is it again?
GTmetrix, you need to do it 2 or 3 times because it might change its.
DT metrics?
I'm just going to type it in there, GTmetrix.
Okay. I'll stop sharing now. I just wanted to show you guys that.
Yeah, so I use several tools to measure stuff, and I'm not an expert in that area at all by any means, but I've been learning over time now how to measure the sites, and then once in a while I'll go to Upwork and hire like an expert in that area to run into my sites and just optimize it all, because it's very time consuming, you know, to get all your sites done that way. And sometimes I just can't afford the time, but I can afford to hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
So when you use a lot of tools, metrics is one, and of course aging sites and all that. Yeah.
I have a quick question about Divy, just backing up a bit, if I may.
Yep.
So, Alana, what is it about Divy that you felt was slowing things down? Because I'm not familiar with the difference between all. I've worked with Elementor and Divy, and they're both interesting.
Okay, so my problem with Divy was twofold. One, it took me a long time to actually build a page. So there's a block of time required to write the content, but then there's a huge block of time I would end up spending on building the page. So that to me was a hardship, because it just was taking me too long and it was slowing me down on my content on my site. But the page loading was a real issue as well. And there was, if you go on the Divy website, I think it's Elegant Themes it's from, there were a lot of issues around the site's loading speed. So, and I found that myself, even if I went on my phone and tried to Google something on my site or go to a page, I found it very slow. So when I was talking to Jay, I think it might have been right around last summer sometime, when I was working with him on doing work on my site, he suggested Generate Press, and I started switching it over, and I finally got the whole site switched over a month or two back, and the speed has really changed a lot. It's really increased well.
Just a quick question about Generate Press, because people have been talking about the fact that it loads fast. Now, I kind of stepped out when Google was talking about AMP, or Accelerated Mobile Protocol. Is Generate Press kind of the next evolution of that, as far as just a light code light theme? Is that sort of what we're looking at?
I heard Google is moving away from AMP.
Yeah, because AMP is a plugin.
Right.
I'm not using AMP. I'm using the theme. I'm not using AMP at all. I had it on another site, but again, that could be.
It was one of their experiments, and they decided it's no longer.
Yeah. So I'm mixing my metaphors, so to speak, because lack of knowledge. But so Generate Press is preferable because the code is light and it's doing the job with less coding. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But Jay has recommended using the premium version. Like, there's a free Generate Press, and then there's a premium version that allows you to do it's the premium version that allows you to do a lot of the stuff that you can do in Elementor.
Oh, okay.
Having used Elementor, Divy, and Generate Press, and I still use Divy and Generate Press, I've gotten away from Elementor because I don't like having to pay a yearly fee to keep the pro version active. Divy I use for my more complicated sites. Does slow it down somewhat, but it allows me to build a complicated site faster than Generate Press. Generate Press I end up having to do to get things to work the way I want it to do. I end up having to do a lot of CSS work with it to make it to get things to work the way I want. Mm-hmm. I don't have to do near as much with Divy. I still have a little bit, but I don't have to do near as much. Mm-hmm. And it allows me there's so many modules that you can use to make things work the way you want, and you can do it quicker. The Generate Press I use on the smaller sites, and it works very well. I've developed a couple of templates that I use, and we get a certain site in that's a certain way, and all I got to do is change content and URLs, and I'm getting them done quickly. Plus, just small sites, Divy's overkill. just isn't necessary. It's not needed to do that complicated stuff that you end up having to get into coding and whatnot. So I use Generate Press on most of my local sites because they're not that complicated. So that's what I do.
Yeah, and if I could just, sorry, I just wanted to say one thing about Divy. Matthew, I think a huge issue I had with Divy was my lack of experimentation. I did not do what Dave does. I mean, Dave's a web developer. I did not create things like templates and that sort of thing. Had I done that, I think I probably would have enjoyed it more, but I was not using it to its full potential. And I think a lot of my issues were operator error and lack of knowledge. So, I mean, I don't want to slam Divy. I mean, it didn't work for me. That's all I'll say.
I think it a lot depends too on your, are you building sites for clients, or you're just doing your own two, 3 sites, and you know that, what is it you're going to use? It all depends on what the demand is on that site, you know, from your client. Or if it's just your site and it's a small site, you don't have to get complicated. So Generate Press would work really well, and you know, Cadence, which I keep hearing constantly about, and there's a new thing called Oxygen. They're all raving about it as light and quick to load and stuff like that. So those may be things that, and there's a million videos on there on how to do all this stuff. It's
yeah.
So.
With Divy and Elementor, if they're going to stay in business, they have to figure out how to get their sites, their product to load faster.
Yes,
they have to figure out that when I'm not using the module, or like in Elementor, if you're not using the module, that I can eliminate that from the code.
We've been talking about that in our groups and stuff, and they're starting to hear us. Instead of giving us a couple of bells and whistles that we don't need, we need speed. So they're listening to us. We just, you know, band together and nag them.
I mean, I just checked my sites in the last week. Did a quick check in the last week. I've lost visitors on almost every one of them. I mean, I'm down 30%, and it's just the last week. I mean, it goes along, goes along, and then drops.
Are these on Elementor sites? Is that what you're saying, or Divy sites?
No, they're on Generate Press sites, or one site's an Elementor site. One site, some are Divy, some of them are just plain old Generate Press sites. Nothing else added, no other, you know, no plugin or no page builder on it, and every one of them have all, you know, dropped tremendously. And it was this week, or the beginning of last week, when it happened. So why everybody's talking about it now is because it's hard to see it. It didn't happen in May like they said it was going to. It happened at the end of June.
So why is that happening now? Just so I'm clear.
The Google put in a new
algorithm.
Which does what? Do we know?
That's kind of stuff we're talking about. This whole idea of this session is what you need to do to make sure that you keep up on it. And where I think where a lot of my problems are is that first paint, because every time I do insights, that's the first thing it goes after, and I've not found a good way to anything that helps me to get that fixed. It's either way too complicated or it doesn't work. So, or I haven't figured out how to make it work. They got JavaScript that's loading when it's not necessary, and I've yet to figure out how to stop that.
LowellAnn, I saw you wave.
Yeah, no, I just think the reason why Google is doing this is to, you know, make the user experience better for website visitors. And I think that's the sole reason behind it. So increased page speed and load speed is important, as well as all the content. And I think that's why we were talking, I think, last week about, you know, headings and subheadings for people who skim. So Google is taking all of that into account, and I think they're also using AI to do it. So you kind of have to go along to get along, you know?
Well, they were having, you know, for a while they were having people, thousands of people review sites, train them how to review sites, and then they would rank them. Now they're trying to get it to where it's automatic.
Yeah.
And when you do that, they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Well, and the one thing I noticed is I did a quick check on different things. My rankings haven't changed. It's just my volume has changed. If you know what I mean.
Yes, I do. I know what you mean.
Maybe you want to add the word yet.
Well,
End of that sentence.
Well, that's true, because once my volume goes down, that is one of the main metrics is people coming to the website, and if it drops, I'll lose ranking. So, but as of today, I haven't. I mean, I've had a few lose some, and then I have that, but they bounce around all over.
I mean, in a way, that answers Matthew's question. Why are people seeing these things now? Is because people didn't see that before. Now they are seeing it. They are seeing some of it. They'll see more of it as we go along. So,
yeah. Okay, so can we move on to the next item? Now, out of that list of core vitals, safe browsing was listed. That means you have your site has HTTPS, is what that means. It has been that has been done. But the notes that I read said it only gives a slight ranking boost. However, here's something I've noticed in my own
browsing.
Yes, my own browsing around is when I stumble on a site that is still just says HTTP, the message that tells me is nobody's paying attention to this website.
No, not only that, LowellAnn. When I use a Chrome browser, I see a big warning pop-up saying this site is not secure.
Yes.
So if you are sharing some important information and somebody sees that warning message at the top of the screen saying this site is not secure, they tend to run away from your site.
Yes.
So whether it affects the ranking or not, you want the visitors staying there for longer. So
the other piece is you know, if you see it still the site is still says just HTTP, you think nobody's paying attention to it, and therefore maybe everything that's on this site is outdated. So there is a subliminal message there that even if it doesn't affect your ranking, it is going to affect the number of people that visit, and the number of people that visit is going to affect your ranking eventually.
Plus, it won't even come up for some people depending on their browser.
Right.
yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay.
Some people just get a warning saying that this site is not secure, and they won't even be taken to that site.
Right.
They'll be taken back to their home page or whatever their home.
Yeah. Depends on their own browser settings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go with the next one, Vivek? No intrusive interstitials. And I said, what the heck is an interstitial? So we looked it up, and it said pop-ups that say, "Give us this so you can have that."
Or in fact, some page itself will say, you go to a page, I mean, you are attracted to that page by some means, by some, I mean, you saw a message on some social media site, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. You reach that site, and then all you see there is, give us your email address and name.
Mm-hmm.
If not, you don't see anything else. So that
Yeah.
is a very annoying interstitial page. If you have that type of page, you will be penalized.
Mm. So I wondered, and I would like to hear what everybody else thinks, and we are getting beyond our time here. Those pop-ups, for a long time, I found them to be very intrusive, and I really, really, really disliked them. But then I discovered that there were ways to, manage the timing so that it didn't pop up in your face the minute you got there, and all of that. But I know that when we've talked to Jay about pop-ups before, I know he uses them on his site, but they're very they're handled very well so that they pop up just as you're about to leave the site. Actually, is one way to do it. But I'm just kind of wondering, is everybody else using pop-ups, and how do you on your site, and how do you react when you encounter one when you visit a site? David.
Pop-ups. The way I use pop-ups is by button only. So like if I say contact us to get it for us to give you more information, you have to press a button in order for that to pop up.
I like that idea.
It works a lot better. You're wanting to give me information, so you're gonna press the button. If you don't want to give me information, you just scroll on by and you're happy. That's the only time I use a pop-up is for popping up my forms to be able to fill them out. I find pop-ups kind of annoying, especially if I can't close them.
Yeah.
That's they hide the X. Where you're supposed to click on the gray area, you click there and you can't find the X and you can't get it closed. Generally what happens is I go up to the little X up in the corner on the tab and close the whole website and go on.
Right.
Especially if I can't close it. If I can close it, I'll go by if I'm really interested in what's in the site, and I'll close the pop-up. I very, very, very seldom use the pop-up to get anything. I just don't like them, so I don't use them. So I don't encourage people to use them.
Anna.
Oh, there is it's an issue. I don't know, but you need to have a pop-up for your cookies disclosure. So there's a one that comes up automatically on. I think I've got them on most of my sites, but I try and use one that's low. It's not heavy or anything. It just pops up, and as soon as you hit it, it's gone, so that you disclose your cookies on there.
Oh.
And if you're in overseas, you got to disclose your, the UK thing. What's it called? The long GD something or other, GDPR, whatever it is. So I don't have any UK sites, so Vivek, you would know about that.
It's not UK. It's European Union.
Okay.
GDPR.
Right. Yeah.
GDPR.
Yeah. So you have to disclose in it, and the only way to do that is with a pop-up. So almost all my sites have the cookies pop-up for sure.
Yeah, but usually you put that at the bottom.
Bottom.
Most of the sites, way down at the bottom, and I can close that. And I'm agreeing to use something there, and it's not you're trying to steal trying to get my email.
No.
You're just telling me
it's a
information.
pop-up, though. Yeah,
And if
so-
I don't like the cookies, then I click no and I go off the site. And if I click yes, I continue on.
Right. Okay, I'm noticing the town. My notes say one more thing. Try testing using Google Lighthouse. That seems to be a sort of a new site where they're suggesting that we use to test out everything. I have not tested it, used it yet. I just added that as a postscript because I stumbled on something last minute that said that.
Yeah, I think the Page Insight or whatever it was called before from Google, they now have renamed it as Google Lighthouse.
Lighthouse. Okay, well that's useful to know. Okay. So we usually invite Fred. Fred, you have been very, very quiet with no questions or comments, and we usually invite Fred to offer the last word.
Thank you very much, LowellAnn. It's been very enlightening. I can attest to this fact that Google is changing the cheese, who hit
Moving the cheese.
move the cheese. And this is what we face all the time. And this is now, when I say time, Anna said something very important. And I think everybody said lots important. But how much time is this going to take me to do this? And is it really me? Maybe you need to hire someone. And maybe that someone is somebody in this group, if they can help you with this aspect. If it's a problem, I just want to quote somebody who I follow by the name of Josh Spector, who he's an amalgamator. He looks around what's going on and says, this might be of interest, and he has this thing. And he said, I'm not saying following all sorts of things can't be helpful, but you don't need to do everything yourself. You don't need to. And one of the things he had is, you don't have to pay attention to SEO. I said, what? And he says, I don't. And millions of people have read my articles. You're not going to win the competition for the most traffic terms, and the ones you do win are unlikely to drive much traffic. He said the secret is write for people, not for search engines. And it comes back to basics. You can do all the search engine stuff you want and all the optimization you want, but if your content isn't of interest and you're not solving people's problems, what's all this about? So that's all that comes to mind, because I listened to the number of acronyms that were thrown around today. A poor person who isn't technical, and even those who are technical, some of them don't even know what half the acronyms are. I mean, you're going to say, what's that? How many times? What is this? What is that? What's CN? Well, that's me. CDN stands for Canadian. That's the little acronym for being a Canadian. But it's not.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
No, I know. So the number of acronyms like HTML. So, I mean, if you've been around computers for a while, you know most of them, but you don't know all of them. Mm. So my point is what Josh Spector said. Write for people, not for search engines. I think that's it. And then if you have a problem, how much time is it going to take you to sort it out? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's someone you can spend a few dollars and they can sort it out for you, rather than you getting all down amongst the weeds of all this technology. Because this was a weedy technological session. Yeah, very weedy for somebody who isn't it. But it's great because it tells you there's a lot to this. It's not just as simple, Mm-hmm. And I like Elementor. I'm not saying I do, but somebody like Elementor because they're used to it and they can get done what they want. But somebody likes Divy, and somebody likes Cadence, and someone So yeah. There's no one answer. But it's phenomenal. I really enjoyed it because I sat here and said, "Oh, listen to all this going on, all the weeds." But I really like what Josh Spector says. Yeah. Get down to it, and he has millions of people who read his articles, and he doesn't worry about SEO. So it may not be a problem. When it is a problem, sort out that problem.
So
That's the problem.
that fits with everything I read. Content is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Your
So
content.
that's my
Yeah.
takeaway from today.
Thank you, Fred. And so we are way over today. Lots of discussion. So that means that I need to remind you that it's important to do what you love with passion, and to let you know that next week we're going to talk about how to hire a web developer. So all this stuff that we talked about today, if you decide if you want to hire a good one, maybe you don't need to know all this stuff. So let's explore that a bit next week. So having said that, bye for now. And Vivek, thanks for screen sharing for me. I appreciate that. And I will do the outro now.